at the 5. Like you said about I'm trying to find his name, Isaiah Livers. Isaiah Livers, he's just now getting back, finally starting to play some basketball. It was actually announced that one of the keys to the rest of the season was to find out how Isaiah Livers fits on this team, and they're going to give him a real chance. And tonight he's played 10 minutes, only 2 points, but he did not look. I watched the game the other day, and Isaiah Livers looks like he belongs right away. Like
he hit a couple threes in his first game, didn't he?
Yeah, he hit a couple of threes. He plays good defense. He's got the big, tall body, good decision maker. We saw him basically as the point guard from Michigan last year, in the last couple of years, making that team go. He switches onto point guards. He switches onto the 4 guys. He can handle the defensive work on both of those. So I'm excited to see where he fits on this team. They do have a bit of a logjam, it feels like, a little bit here. But at the same time, they have a pretty decent group of talent that they're putting together. And it might be comparable to something like on the third line that, the Red Wings are trying to do. These guys are growing up in their role on this team.
That makes sense. And it's good to see. It's nice to see them get those wins, as long as they don't get too many and really hurt their chances to get it. Like the guy, someone that can pair well with Cade. And I know that doesn't really matter, but at the same time,
it's a lottery.
We got to get it, though. Like, if you fall out of the top 4, that would be pretty bad, right?
I haven't watched a lot of college basketball, but there aren't any, top guys that are just sticking out leaps and bounds beyond the next guy.
Just someone that mixes well with Cade? I think we talked about that a little bit.
There's some prospects. There's definitely some prospects with size that can shoot and score from all around the court. I don't know. Duke has one.
Yeah, Ben Caro.
Yeah.
Ben Caro, Chet Holmgren, they're 2 big guys. Chet's been playing really well lately. He's a good shooter.
Man,
so skinny as a rail, though.
I don't think that's a body that can put on weight either, and I just think that's going to break down. I don't want them.
And then there's is it Jalen Smith from Auburn? He might go number 1 now. He's 6'9", great looking shooter, but maybe not the best decision maker.
What do you think about Jaden? Is it Jaden Ivey? Is that his name?
Yeah, Jaden Ivey is
from Purdue. Right?
An incredible athlete.
Yeah,
he is. If you just watch him, he looks different. Like he just looks like an NBA player who's playing against college athletes, and he's got something. He's got an it factor that could pair really, really well with the guards on this team.
I mean, getting back to the Pistons now too, it's nice to see Diallo have such a role on the team because I feel like they reached on a guy, Sekou Doumbouya, with an early pick to do that same exact brand of basketball, and he never just had it in Detroit. So it's nice to see him come in and kind of make a youthful impact right off the get-go. And he's full of energy, man. He loves to play ball.
Well, Diallo is a former slam dunk contest winner. I mean, he jumps out of the gym anytime. Like he is a freak of an athlete. He has the driving and finishing ability that people really, really envy. Plays good defense. I mean, I think he's leading the league in steals in the last 20 games or so.
Does he have a younger brother in the G League that might play for either?
I've seen a Diallo down there. Yeah,
the Grand Rapids Gold or the Detroit Crews. He's on one of those teams.
I didn't know if there was a relation or not.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's the Detroit affiliate or if it's the Denver. But
yeah, it gets confusing.
Yeah.
A couple more things about the Pistons. I didn't want to talk about the Rookie of the Year status right now, and I'm looking at the odds. Obviously, the way I like to use the odds is telling me what people are thinking. Is you see Evan Mobley at minus 550. Those are extremely pretty overpowering odds to say the least. And Cade Cunningham is in second at plus 900. Is Mobley really having a better year, or is it just more or less the fact that Cavs are winning and the Pistons aren't? Like that, is that the only thing driving this thing? Like it doesn't seem fair to me when I look at the numbers. It seems like it's pretty obvious that Cade has the better season. So in my head, it's got to be the 36 wins for the Cavaliers compared to the 15 for the Pistons. Is that why is that even a factor, first of all? And do you think that's the biggest factor? Or is there something I'm not seeing?
I don't want to take anything away from Evan Mobley. He's actually playing great basketball. He's made an incredible difference with the Cavs right away. His blocking ability, his just overall size and athleticism, playing the 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. I think he adds a lot of versatility to a team that's more ready to win now, but he really put them farther ahead than they expected to be. So I agree with Evan Mobley. Maybe he's leading right now. I expect Cade to probably leapfrog him if he keeps playing like he is right now because of what Cade is shouldering Mobley doesn't have to go out there and run an offense.
Okay.
He's just the recipient of lobs and some other stuff like that. And is he talented? Sure, but he's set up for a lot of success no matter who he's playing with.
He was kind of I don't want to say the last piece for the Cavaliers, but he's like Cade's the first piece of this rebuild where
Yes.
the Cavaliers are a few years ahead when it comes to that and have already brought in talent, not trying to just find the talent to match, right?
Yeah, they have two guards that are dominant in today's NBA, and they're playing without Sexton right now, I think, who's hurt. But
Yep.
Darius Garland's having a huge year, and I think that's what helps Evan Mobley is that Cade's the number one guy, and Mobley doesn't have to do that. Yeah, clean up the mess a little bit down low.
Well, mixed with Allen, too. Those are two big bodies. They pair really well. They're both really athletic. The Cavs have done an underrated job, and maybe not even underrated, but they've done a really good job of turning that franchise around really quickly.
Yeah, didn't John Beilein had his foot in the door down in Cleveland, too, there, and then he just bailed? He got that big contract.
I think he did.
Might have drafted a guy or two. And
Didn't he
now
get pushed out, though?
Oh, yeah. He didn't even finish the season as coach, I don't
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
He was forced out. Drummond had something to do with that, too.
Oh, God.
Man, Drummond is usually such a good guy, too.
He is.
So weird.
I like Drummond.
He's decent.
And then the last thing with the Pistons that I thought that we had to talk about was the teal jersey with the piston horse, if you will, or the horse head.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that coming back? So I think they talked about I think it was like 32 games next year they're planning on using these jerseys. First of all, do you guys like those jerseys?
Oh, yeah. Bring
Yeah.
it back.
Oh, yeah.
Stoked.
Really?
I had
Yeah.
one.
It's awesome.
I had the teal green Pistons starter jacket back in the day. Yeah.
Really?
Grant Hill was my guy. Jerry
Yep.
Stackhouse. Oh,
Oh,
man.
yeah. Stackhouse and Hill in that jersey.
Yes,
Yeah.
bring that jersey back.
No, the reason I think it's cool is because the team will embrace it. Just being so young and like the throwback style, like that's what they're looking to do. I think the going to work Pistons, like, no, let's get back to as basic and non-flashy, uniforms we can possibly get to. Like, let this team stand out for what they want to do, and maybe it is a little bit flashier. Maybe they're younger and just want that little extra,
I'll say this. My godson asked for one thing for his, I think it was his birthday, Christmas. A couple years ago, he wanted the throwback Ja Morant Memphis Grizzlies jersey. Teal
Whoa.
green with the black trim, and it had the white and brown stripes.
Oh,
on it.
yeah, sweet.
And I'm telling you, that jersey looks way better than any other jersey that Memphis wears on a regular basis right now. So, yeah, bring it back.
Ja
I wanna see
Morant,
it.
I mean, he
And-
can make a lot of things popular. He is a
I-
stud.
the way I look at this jersey is that I don't think it's a good-looking jersey, personally. I'm not a big teal fan. I don't like
It's
that
the-
color. I
think
think
it's the basketball part.
I think
Yeah.
it's
Let's be
cheesy.
honest.
But it's a big step up from what the Pistons are doing. Like with their other crap, they don't have good looking jerseys in my opinion. They're very plain. The logo is a basketball, right?
And yet the Red Wings will never change. He's like, I love the classic look that never
Yeah, well,
changes.
when you're part of the original six, you gotta have to do that, right? But I think I don't know. I agree that it could fit this up and coming team the way that they're building, and it's like
Swag.
give them a little bit, give them
Swag.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would like to
Imagine
make
that-
it like your Sunday jersey or something like that. Like do
Yeah.
something like the Lakers, like, hey, we'll wear this on Sundays. But
Imagine the shoes that are going to come out to match those uniforms, too. So, like,
I would
don't know.
imagine they're going to
That'd
be
be
pretty
sweet.
ugly shoes.
No.
Right?
Some throwback, like, Jordan 4s or something. Teal blue.
I'll trust you with that. You want to drag a picture across into that one? too?
T-Mac 2s. No, I think just to like wrap up the Pistons real quick, I think the biggest difference with them, we've touched on a lot of things, but the biggest difference with them looking like a completely different team, in my mind, really is the team knows their role at this point. And they've really found out who they really are. And that's a couple of things. Bringing in Bagley was big, but then also moving Killian Hayes to the bench. And that, I think, takes a lot of pressure off of him where he can play his style game, where he's not needed to score points, not criticized for turning down jumpers or anything. He comes off the bench. He gives a lot of effort. He passes the ball around, creates offense to guys that are looking to shoot. These are bench guys who are, they're out there to just score. That's what bench players typically do. But then on the other side, the starters, they know their role a little bit more. Cade Cunningham runs the offense. Jeremy Grant doesn't have to have everything funneled through him. Yeah, I wish he would pass more on his if he's isolating, here and there. He should do less of that. But that was his role before, so now it's taken a lot for him to move on from that. So overall, The team felt like it was separated for a long time. A lot of individual performances and a lot of contributors kind of improved along the way, and now we're finally bringing everybody back together, and they know who's supposed to do what now, right? They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and now they're just out there playing basketball.
If it's craft beer in Michigan sports, we may not be the authority, but we love both like a fat kid loves cake. Hot, hot! This is State of My Sports.
So the other Detroit team that's playing these days are the Detroit Red Wings, and I mean they haven't been great as of late. They lost to Colorado, they lost to Toronto. I kind of want to start with that Toronto game.
Crazy.
Man, all right, for the people 10-7, they lost 10-7.
Hold on. Okay, so I went out to the bar with my buddy that night, and I sat down, and I was mad that the Wings game wasn't on. And I looked on my phone, and it was like 7-2 going into the third.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not even going to bother the wait staff to turn it on and, like, kind of just, wait and wait and wait. And, one goal, another goal. And I'm like, that's kind of getting interesting now. And a couple more, like, by the time I asked the lady to turn it on, it was like just mere minutes, and we're within like 2 goals.
Yeah, well, I think they got within 1, and then the Red Wings had a power play. So I wasn't able to watch this game because it was on Saturday and I was at the Griffins, so I was a little disappointed. But so I think you're right. It was 7-1 at one point, and then the Red Wings scored 5 straight goals. Yeah, and I could be wrong on this, but to make it 7-6, and then they let up a shorthanded goal.
Yep.
To make it, but they ended up losing 10-7. One of them was an empty netter. I mean, you look at this game and you just kind of shake your head because it's like your team didn't come ready to play. That was painfully obvious. The goalies were absolutely garbage. I'm wondering what was going on the night before because it was just that bad. So, watching some of these goals that they're letting in, but the way the team didn't give up is something to say for the way that this locker room is being run. If they didn't put up a fight the way that they did and score those 5 straight goals and put some sort of effort into it, I am really wondering if that would have been the final straw for a Jeff Blashill team. Because like that type of embarrassment, like let's just say you lost 10-1. Coaches don't survive something like that when you've been kind of on the hot seat for the lack of a better term for a while now.
Right.
And that was really interesting to me, that the fact that they were able to kind of regroup and put up an effort for their coach, because they're not playing to win that game anymore. They're playing for pride and for the guy next to them and their coaching staff and all that stuff. So
they don't want to get blown out either.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been that way. Real bad.
Basically, they're just in the middle of – so they've kind of been not in the wild card hunt necessarily, but they've been either a couple points back from Boston with Boston having like 6 games in hand or something like that.
Right.
So it's like they've been hanging around that final wild card spot for a while. But right now they're in the middle of absolute terrible part of their schedule. So
right.
I already brought up that they lost to Colorado 5-3, lost to Toronto 10-7. Playing Carolina tonight. They're playing pretty well. They're tied 1-1 right now. But Carolina's first in the Metro, so they're leading their division. You got Tampa Bay, who's tied for second in the Atlantic. After that, you got Florida, who's first in the Atlantic, second overall in the NHL. Get a nice break with the Coyotes, who are bad, but are looking at you as like, this is our chance to win a game. So, I mean, you got the Coyotes, then you got Minnesota, who's third in the Central, Calgary, first in the Pacific, Edmonton, who's fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, this is such a tough part of the schedule. This team's going to be tested a lot here, and I'm very interested to see where they come out. Look, I think the ship has sailed. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think that's a possibility at all.
They're far enough behind Washington right now. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, and Boston as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're in not. That's not what I'm focused on. I'm really wondering how they can come out of this, for a Blashill. Like this, it feels like his last chance, even though that might not be fair. But it'll be interesting to see how because if they go out and win one of these 10 games that I'm naming here. That's not a good stretch.
No,
and that's
not at
kind of
all.
thing that you move on from your coach in the middle of the season, even if you don't want to. But that gets you a week or so into the deadline as well. A week out from the deadline, and the Red Wings don't have like important players that teams are going to be interested in, but you have enough expiring contracts that you better make a move, and you should make some moves to get, again, not key first round picks or anything like that.
Who are the couple of the players that you're looking at hopefully ditching here soon?
I mean, I'd start with the expiring contracts with Stahl, Nemestikov, Leddy.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the first three that come to mind. Grice is not going to get a sniff. There's too many other goalies that are better than Grice that people will rather trade for. I mean, you might be able to get him to move, but probably not.
So are you in the mindset that we're looking at dumping, the first three names you mentioned at all costs, or are you looking at maybe hanging on to like a Nemestikov and seeing what happens in the offseason, or are you just saying, hey, we're going to take whatever it is?
I think the most value we have is a Nemestikov. I think
it's Leddy?
I don't think it's Leddy. I don't think Leddy's played very well. I mean, he that's not fair because he's nobody's really going to be interested in him, in my opinion. It's going to be some kind of package deal that these guys. I mean, you might get a third-round pick in this draft, or something. Like, you're not going to get anything of true value that's going to get everybody excited. But what Yzerman's been best at is like getting other teams cast-offs that they don't have room for, and all right, we'll trade you a piece for now. And this guy was you were either going to have to overpay next year, and that we can pay this next year. So like the guys that are going to be more restricted free agents,
Right.
and in the draft that or like in the same draft as a lot of our core guys, is the way I expect this trade deadline to go. Now, I think Nemestikov, you have to move him, basically because he's our biggest asset at this deadline, and it feels like was it like Thomas Vanek? Is that the name? For some reason, that's the name that comes to mind for the Red Wings, that they signed him, traded him at the deadline, re-signed him, traded him at the deadline. That's what I feel like Nemestikov is going to be.
Okay.
I think he likes it in Detroit. I think that he fits well. I think he's going to be traded and then re-signed by Detroit. That's just my hunch. Obviously, a lot can happen by then.
Yeah,
but
sure. Well, that makes sense.
We can get into the trade deadline stuff as we get closer because it will have a lot more perspective and hear a lot more, know exactly who the buyers are, who exactly the sellers are, rather than just kind of sit back and wonder.
Do you know when the trade deadline is?
I think it was the 24th, but I could be wrong.
Okay, we'll have to
I think
look
it's
that
March 24th, but yeah, it's somewhere around that time. I've looked it up so many times, and I'm like, why is it so late? And
up. You don't believe it?
No, like I'm like, why haven't they moved it up? Because I think it was late because of the Olympic break that they were supposed to have that they ended up not having.
So they haven't adjusted it yet, is what you're
So it's the 21st.
anticipating?
Sorry, the 21st.
It's still late.
Yeah, it is very late. I think the latest it's ever been, in my opinion. But I could be wrong on that too.
It's your opinion that it's the latest it's ever been?
I don't know for a fact that it's the latest it's ever
Okay.
been, but it feels
feels
extremely late because usually
What is it normally?
Usually April 10 is the last week of the regular season. So that's what, 2.5 weeks before the end of the
yeah.
regular season.
Jeez.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the end of the regular season is going later because of the Olympic break that was. I don't know any of that.
It's almost like if you're a contender, why would you trade for anybody and ruin with your team chemistry?
At that point,
you know?
if you're renting a guy for 3 weeks, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's weird.
And
Yeah.
it kind of lowers the value of that. But
In 2018, the NHL trade deadline was February 26th.
okay, I knew that it was late this year. I didn't know it was that late.
What was your
That's crazy.
opinion? And your opinion was right.
Correct.
Sorry.
First time. Let me make sure. All right, on this date, March 1st, 2000. Sam was right on the podcast.
Well, your opinion
Never
was right. Yeah.
my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
first time ever. But another thing I did want to talk. We talked about Cade Cunningham and his odds to winning the Rookie of the Year for the NBA. We have two guys kind of in the hunt here for the Red Wings. You got Mo Sider at plus 250. He is tied with Trevor Zegras at the top, and then Lucas Raymond, who was a favorite for a while, has dropped down to only be plus 350. I I looking at the numbers, knowing what I know about hockey is Zegras has been flashy. He has that really exciting goal. I think he did a Michigan goal or something like that everybody's really excited about. Get all, hunky-dory about it. And but other than that, like, there's nothing that tells me Seider does not deserve to win this thing. And it's blowing my mind that he's not the favorite. I mean, he's got 5 goals, 34 assists as a rookie. He's only -1 on a team that's probably, I don't have their goal differential in front of me, but I'm sure it's -40. Something along there. Like, I bet you it's not pretty. They have been one of the worst in the league for the last couple of years. I mean, and he does so much more than put up the numbers too. Like, those numbers are good. 34 assists in your rookie year, and the time on ice is I think he's averaging over 22 minutes per game, which is unbelievable for a 20-year-old guy, or 21, whatever it is. What he's doing day in and day out is so impressive, and it's blowing my mind that he's not getting talked about enough, really. What he's doing is so impressive. He's getting comped to some of the greats of all time. I think that's way too early because it's year one and he's got to develop and stuff.
Got
but
a long way to
this
go.
dude is you watch him and he's the best defenseman on this ice, and it's impressive. His poise, his vision, the way he's using his body against grown men is so impressive.
Protecting the puck the way he does when he skates.
It's so cool to see, and he's doing it the way that he's going to do it for his whole career. Like, he's never going to be a flashy goal scorer. He's not. That's not going to be his game. But he's going to be steady, making good passes.
Smart player.
Yeah, like that little move right there. Just simple, but it's just
I like that.
out of it. That doesn't happen in your rookie year very, very often. So.
Yeah, it's weird looking at the numbers too. Lucas Raymond has better numbers than Zegras,
Yes,
right?
he does.
That's another thing.
I mean,
Lucas Raymond does have better, like,
the plus minus, the goals, assists. I don't know where the odds come in Trevor Zegras' favor.
It's a flash. It was the flash goal that got everybody really excited.
Popular opinion at the time, yeah.
He had he did something goofy at the All-Star game that everybody loved. I think he did was he the blindfolded guy? Where he really wasn't blindfolded or something? I don't know. It was just
did
like
the dodgeball thingy?
I think he did, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that was him. So, like, that kind of stuff is what's boosted him up there a little bit.
That's ridiculous.
But Raymond has more goals and more assists.
Yeah.
Okay, but I will point out
better
there is a
plus-minus.
4-game difference, so games. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
3-point difference. They're not averaging a point per game. It doesn't matter if you're going points per game. Raymond still isn't beat. I'm just saying. I'm just drawing the comparison between Raymond and Zegras, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Point
look at
proven, though,
penalty
yeah.
minutes too. 40 penalty minutes to 8. Look, we're probably losing listeners as we speak.
Yeah.
The numbers
sure.
of hockey. But, like, I don't know. It's just driving me nuts, and I am convinced, barring injury for Seider, like, this dude's going to win this thing. So if you want to bet on a future, I would highly recommend putting your money on something along those lines.
Not bad.
From the Red Wings to Michigan State, we're talking about it. This is State of My Sports.
Before we get into the episode, main topic for episode 146, and Rasmussen gets a goal.
let's go.
I want to remind everyone that the Hops Brewing Company and Cafe is open and pouring some of the best craft beer in West Michigan. The revamped food menu, rotating taps, wine, and ciders make the Hops perfect for whatever you have going on, from dinner with the family, late night drinks with friends, and everything in between. The Hops is becoming a staple in the West Michigan restaurant community that we highly recommend to our friends and listeners. Hit up Taco Tuesday, which consists of any taco for $2.50, and you can pair it with a margarita seltzer for only $3. The new Mahi tacos, not your father's grilled cheese, and smothered fries are new to the menu that we love, to say the least. I really want to try those fries. I haven't tried the fries yet, but I think we're going to do that next week.
The fries are good.
Did you get them?
Yeah.
When did you get them?
Last week, I think.
Did you?
Yeah, I stopped in with the family.
Lucky you didn't invite me.
I wanted to go tonight, too. I was, like, trying to make my way.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Man, might as well.
I just had to get home.
The Hops is the official brewery of State of My Sports, and if you mention State of My Sports, you get a nice little discount off your first beer. We're also talking about potentially doing a live show there on draft night. So
Yeah, let's just plan on it. Let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
all right, I got to talk to Mark. I got I was talking to him a little bit today, but I'm going to confirm it with him.
No, let's just do it. Let's not
Just
confirm.
not
Let's
even
just,
ask
yeah,
him?
Let's just do it.
So yeah, we're going to be there. And
They're gonna be like, "Wow, there's so much money here."
yeah, why is there so much money here? Oh,
Sam,
Smells
you
like-
did not ask me.
you're gonna. Yeah, we don't want your money now.
Hey,
you
Sam,
didn't ask. What's up?
What day is the NFL draft again?
Thursday, June 17th. No, I don't. It's Thursday, April 18th.
28th.
28th. That was close. I knew they would start with an 8.
It just
or
seems
ended with
late
an 8.
this year. I don't know. It's my opinion.
You heard it here first.
Oh man.
Anywho,
Yeah,
what we're going to talk about today is
Before that, let me just give a quick update. Pistons did just lose to the Wizards tonight,
By
116, 113. Killian got an offensive rebound with like 2 seconds left. I think heaved one up and missed at the buzzer. So
Oh, cool.
it was a close game. Again, competitive. That's all we wanted to ask.
Probably unguarded. You know?
Probably heaved it up.
Oh
and
boy.
if you put the
You
if
had
you
a
bet
really
against
good-
them
had a
minus
really good
3.5,
look
you're
at
not
it.
happy with yourself right now.
It doesn't change the league's worst shooting percentages from Killian. But as long as he's not shooting, I'm not.
I
too
can't
worried
wait
about
till
it.
we get to the Wednesday parlay.
Well, that's not today. That's not the parlay I did today.
Oh.
I already lost that one because of the stinking Pistons. Whatever. Anyways, we're gonna get into some wide receiver rankings.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how this is gonna go. Ryan, you have your rankings. What I did is I put on the paper here was Pro Football Focus's wide receiver rankings heading into the NFL Combine. Now,
Yep.
this is pre-Combine because things can change. I think, especially with that type of specialty position, or what do they call it? Not a specialty position.
It's an athletic position.
Yeah.
I mean, there's numbers to usually back it up.
Yeah. So the
Yep.
numbers, someone could just go blow absolutely smoke a. Can't think.
40-yard dash.
A
joint?
40-yard dash, and yeah, that too. That could really ruin their draft
Yeah.
status.
Or help it. Depends on how
yeah,
relaxed they get.
That's true. So like, Ryan, where do you want to go? Do you just want to go with your list? Or you want to kind of dissect what they do here and then tell them where they're wrong? Like, what do you want to do?
Well, I think we chose wide receiver for a reason, right? Wide receiver is just jam-packed with talent every single year at this point. We know that there's going to be some misses. There's going to be some probably some superstars out of this group. But it's really difficult to separate the top 5 or even 6 guys, in my opinion. It might be different than most years. Most years, you think I think a couple of years ago there was. I shouldn't even bring up names, but there were like 3 guys. Jerry Jeudy was one of them. Cowboys selected one of them, but there was
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb in that group. There was and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were like the people that Justin Jefferson was like the odd man out as like maybe the 4th or 5th best wide receiver in all these rankings, and yet he has been absolutely dominant in the NFL for the first 2 years. And I think we could be looking at a situation like this. And so I guess the purpose of this is just to go through the wide receivers because it's a need for the Lions specifically.
Yeah.
And I want to just show like how these wide receiver rankings from the PFF could possibly be completely different from mine. That's a little foreshadowing.
And I think Pro Football Focus is a tough one because they look at analytics that other people don't.
Yeah.
And they take it as gospel when they even probably don't believe themselves. You know what I mean? You see that a lot of times when someone that actually had a terrible game like had the best Pro Football Focus rating at their position that week. It blows your mind, but it happens. So you brought up the first 5. I'm actually going to go through Pro Football Focus's top 5.
Let's do it, yeah.
And we can kind of talk about it. So from there, whether you're surprised or not. So their number 1 is Drake London out of USC. And they have him as the top overall, or 10th overall prospect and on their big board. Moving down to Ohio State, you got Garrett Wilson, where they have him at number 2, but 13th overall on their big board. So it's not that big of a difference when you compare the two. Where would you go on those two?
So let's just to give context, Drake London number 1 for PFF ranking, the big board rankings, number 10, number 13, third is number 17, 19, 29, 30. So like there's 5 guys within the top 30 picks is kind of what they're predicting here.
Well, 6 if you can include Sky Moore.
Oh yeah, there you go. Which Sky Moore in the top 30?
That blew my mind.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Ballsy. I don't know, not here, but Yeah, so their first two, Drake London, Garrett Wilson. I have one of those as my number 2 as well, is Garrett Wilson. He is my number 2. I could not disagree more with Drake London, and it's worth bringing up PFF with the analytics side of things. Drake London is ranked number 1 in every single category you could think of for contested catch rate, or just balls, 50-50 balls to go up and get it. Drake London dominated last year with in college football, and he did it in like 8 games because he got injured and ruined his season at that point. But his numbers look pretty incredible. I just don't see it. I don't see the athleticism in my rankings. I actually have him ranked number 7 in my wide receivers.
Okay.
Which just shows the difference. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're wrong, but that's how close a lot of these comparisons are for the wide receiver.
So the Pro Football Focus's list winds out the top 5 with Jameson Williams out of Alabama, Chris Olave out of Ohio State, and Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Treylon Burks is an interesting name to me because it seems to kind of fit the Deebo Samuel mold. That I feel like if he didn't look as good as he did in the playoffs and down the stretch there for 49ers, I wonder if it's just like the comparison is making him more valuable than he actually put up in college football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a tough one to rate because a lot of his catches came on like bubble screens that he just turned into run after catch. So that's where the Deebo Samuel comparison comes in. He ran a lot of reverses and was extremely
and I'm sure,
effective.
Like, that type of player, their analytic side of a Pro Football Focus, they look at yards after catch. I'm sure is a big key when they're grading all overall wide receivers. That might have something to do with why he is sneaking into the top 5.
But he's also a giant human being. He's going to probably run a 4.3 40. He's huge. He's big, strong. He looks like the dude out of Seattle Seahawks wide receiver.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf. So people are comparing him to
better hair than
DK.
DK Metcalf?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Anyone does.
Does he have a nose ring like DK Metcalf?
Probably. He's a bull, yeah. No, I don't think so.
All right, good.
No, but he's compared to that, and then he's also the comparisons are like what you said with Deebo Samuel. So he has the comps are what kind of drives him up, I think. But also he was by far the highest usage wide receiver out of Arkansas, which means that defenses would scheme around this guy, and he still dominated the college football scene. So my number 1 is actually Treylon Burks.
Really?
Because I think the upside and how you use him in an offense can be either way. You can either use him as a classic X wide receiver on the sideline, throw it deep, and you'll beat guys deep. He's a great contested catch guy. He's got the biggest hands in the draft out of wide receivers, I think. So big, strong, great blocker. So he does everything right, and then you can also get him involved in the creative short game like the reverses and speed and space type approach.
Based on like the mock drafts that I've been reading, it feels like he's the one that we're going to miss out on because the Rams went on the playoff run. You know what I mean?
I think so. There's a good
it
chance.
just seems like that's the one that's going to really hurt. It's either going to be him or like a Nakobe Dean. It's like, dang. That's why we wanted the Rams to lose, even though I was rooting for them the way I did. All right, so you got Treylon Burks as your number 1. Where do you have Jameson Williams?
I have Jameson Williams number 4. So I'll just give you my top 5 real quick. Number 1, Treylon Burks. Number 2, Garrett Wilson. Number 3, Chris Olave. 4, Jameson Williams. And number 5, where's my number 5? Did I skip number 5?
George Pickens?
I got to go to number 6 then. David Bell.
David Bell.
Yeah.
So they have David Bell all the way down to 13.
Yeah.
And I thought that one was very interesting. And I was actually, so like the mock draft simulator that I messed around with, they originally had him, I want to say, as the top 40 overall prospect. And then last night when I was doing it, they switched it to be like 56. And they actually moved Jahan Dotson ahead of him.
Yeah.
And that really surprised me.
Those two are really close to me. They're 5 and 6 in my list. But they're pretty different.
Like that's where I'm like, I guess I don't know.
So I think the reason I've got David Bell ranked so much higher than some of these guys is I think he has an underrated NFL wide receiver body. He's 6'2". Which means he has the size that like a Garrett Wilson would have.
Yep.
He's got the strength. If you see somebody who's like 6'1", 6'2", and they're skinny as a rail, they say, well, good height, good length, but they need to put on some muscle. Like, nobody's saying that about David Bell. He's a strong dude.
He's already developed, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe he doesn't have elite speed. He doesn't have elite quickness, but I think his route running ability, his ability to feel the space and just be where he needs to be, also mixed with that kind of size, toughness, and strength, I think he's a way underrated commodity in the NFL because I think he's game ready right away. And again, he's one of those high usage rates guys also, which to me tells you that he beats defenses when they're scheming around him.
Okay.
And I think that goes a long way. That means that he's not only going up against the best corner, but the safety shaded his way, and that means he has to navigate through getting all those looks.
And his reads are good.
Yes, exactly.
His read options are good. Route options, I guess, is the better. Is that the
and he goes and gets the ball. He's a really good contested catch guy again. So I think, to me, the more balanced of a wide receiver you can be, where you have speed, you have yak ability like he does. Clearly, he breaks a ton of tackles too. Also contested catch, also maybe a slot guy, maybe outside. The more you can do, the higher value you are in my book.
Yeah, I just got an alert on my phone, and he just scored again against Michigan State. I don't know if that must be old, but he just scored again.
He just did, yeah.
He's still doing it against them. No, I mean, that was the game that really stood out to me, and obviously I didn't sit and watch Purdue games a lot. But what he did against Michigan State was so impressive because they were scheming against him because he was their only weapon. And look, I mean, doing what he did against Michigan State isn't that impressive because Michigan State was like one of the worst, if not the worst, pass defense in the country. But, man, he just looked like it. He looks like he's an NFL guy ready to go.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
He's the one that screams like a Jamar Jefferson. Jamar Jefferson? Which one?
Justin Jefferson.
Jamar Jefferson's on the lines.
Yep.
That's where Justin Jefferson, that could be the 5th or 6th guy drafted, but have the best impact for the first 4 years of his career. That's the one that really stands out to me because I think he's ready, and he does things in a different way. I don't know if they like our styles are the same, but that's just who I just think he could be the most productive guy. If you're not careful, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's really shocking when I saw him at all the way down at 13 on Pro Football Focus.
I think it's actually a good comp. He is, to me, he's Justin Jefferson without the elite athletic ability, and so maybe that's the difference. But so instead of averaging 1,400 yards, he's a 900 to 1,000 yard guy who still catches touchdowns. Like, we'll take that, especially if you're building a wide receiver corps around him and other people.
So you ended with David Bell. How far did your list go?
I mean, I've got a top 10 for you. You want me to just keep going?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, number 6. Well, I guess so. My number 5 and 6 were different, so my numbers are off here. But I have Jahan Dotson after that. I think his athletic ability, explosion, he's a little undersized. I think he's like 5'10 or 5'11", 185 pounds or so. But he does have that next level ability of making guys miss, beating somebody on a route, but has enough physical ability that he's not just going to be over the middle type of guy. After that, I actually do have Drake London. There is something to be said about a contested catch, go up and get it, bail out your quarterback type of athlete. I don't think he will ever be the guy to get open. I don't think he's even that smart or a good route runner, but he does have an elite ability to catch a ball he shouldn't catch.
So Kenny Galladay 2.0.
I think Kenny Galladay is more of an athlete than him.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think he's maybe the comps that are out there, the Notre Dame guy that's with the Steelers right now. Claypool, yes. Chase Claypool. I think he's a Claypool type that without the speed, but he's the big body and maybe a better contested catch. Good blocker, too. He's really physical. Amon-Ra St. Brown and him have similar play style, but I think quick St. Brown, the complete opposite. There's the quick twitch and then the long body. But
all right.
After that, I'm just rambling at this point.
So Drake London was number 7.
Yes, and then I have George Pickens, wide receiver out of Georgia. I think he's got the speed. I don't know how much he really does in the mid range and underneath, but he will be a valuable asset on somebody's team pushing the ball long, and he can go up and get the ball. So good hands. I think underrated speed. You'll see in his 40 time might go a long way for him at the combine.
Yeah, he'll be an interesting one. Is he? I'm curious at what he's gonna do. Still fighting the injury, coming back from it. I'm curious if he's gonna not do certain things. But
and then I have Christian Watson, and then Sky Moore.
So you have Sky Moore at number 10.
Yeah.
And then who was it?
Christian Watson, number 9. I think I just see him fitting in with so many different teams. He is the wide receiver out of North Dakota State. I like him. I like the way he runs. I think he's dynamic. He is he almost reminds me of Treylon Burks with his ability to run end rounds and look like a running back as he's running, but with top end speed.
It's going to be a weird, like when you look at it from a Lions perspective, is 3's too high to take a wide receiver, in my opinion, when you look at this draft, especially when you have as many holes as you already have. 2. We're
I was thinking trade down.
Yeah. And then 32, where we're at, it's like it seems like you're going to miss out because usually there's that run in the teens on wide receivers. That's really when you see it, and you feel like you're going to miss out on a pretty high-level guy. Now, luckily you have 32 and 34. Which guy do you kind of see being available in this situation that you would kick the wagon on? Obviously, depending on who's still there and at other positions, but which ones do you kind of look at and be like, yeah, I would take them if they're there, let's say at 32?
I mean, 32 is not much different than 34, right?
I guess where's your cutoff? 32, 34, where is it like, yeah, that's too big of a reach for me, or these guys are long gone. So, like, there has to be somewhere in the middle, a few of your guys, right?
If Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, and Chris Olave, if any of those guys are there at 32, I want them. They have the speed, the overall athletic ability, the height that makes a big difference on any offense. I think they would be huge targets at 32 or 34, both of them.
So that basically eliminates your top 4, let's say, right? Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams. That was 1. That was 4. So is David Bell worth taking at 32, or is that that's where your cutoff is and be like, that's too big of a risk or too big of a reach at this point?
I think there's, in my mind, there's no way David Bell is going in the first round. I don't see it happening. So if you want to take him in the first part of the second round, I'm completely fine with that. If he slips to the third round, you trade up if you need to go get him. Like that would be a steal in the third round.
Gotcha. John, I mean, are there any wide receivers that stand out to you in this draft that you're like, man, I want that guy to learn a lot about golf? I feel like we need another piece. We need someone of value, right?
Well, last year I was screaming for Jamar Chase to fall to 7 for Detroit to draft because I knew he was going to be a playmaker. But if I did, I guess I mean that was huge. Not to knock on what Penei Sewell did for us at 7, on the offensive line. But I think of a guy like, I don't know, I just look here like number 4, Chris Olave. If he falls, if he slips, you get him at 32 for sure. Yeah. But again, I don't think Detroit needs to be drafting a wide receiver with their second overall pick. There's other needs on the team. So I think you gotta just grab the best prospect available at that point. Any guy with size and can catch the ball because we need weapons around Jared Goff.
Yeah, I feel like you address wide receiver at your second or third pick. That's where it looks to me. It seems to be you'll still get a valuable guy that will be good as long as there's not a huge run. Like obviously from a Packers perspective, you want a wide receiver, right? Like I mean, say everything's lining up the way you want to. Rodgers resigns. Let's say you guys find a way to get both him and Devontae Adams. You still need another piece. That's kind of been the argument in a lot of ways for Aaron Rodgers. Frustration of not giving me another weapon. Which wide receiver stands out to you that you would be like, yeah, let's take him at, what are you guys, 24, 25?
Yeah.
Since you lost in the first round?
I think I don't know, like the right spot would kind of scream Jahan Dotson for me.
Yeah.
I like the way he plays. I like his size. But that's just from an outsider's perspective. I haven't done a whole lot of research on these guys. But, yeah, Jahan Dotson is someone who stands out to me.
Yeah, I think 32 or 34, I'd be okay with that. But again, I would be okay with passing again on a wide receiver because I could see you getting a George Pickens in that third round. And that, to me, it's like he's got a very high upside. And that's where I'm just looking at it. I'm like, if we can wait and still get, let's say, a top 10 wide receiver in this draft. Let's just stick with Ryan's top 10 or Pro Football Focus top 10. I'll be okay with that. I feel like that is a massive upgrade for the Lions. And look, we're not going to get too deep into it, but like you still got free agency too that can address a number 1 wide receiver. So maybe you get the number 2 wide receiver, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown becomes your number 3. Like that's kind of where there's other ways to do it. Where again, number 2 overall, heck no. If you can trade out of the top 10, trade down, then I'm looking at it and being like, okay, who's available? Which one really stands out? I'm also very interested to see what kind of fall Jameson Williams can have with the injury, because usually you're not going to get, mid-round teams that are like, all right, let's take this guy, and then might not have him for the first 8 weeks of a season when those 8 weeks of the season are so important to that specific team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like a Jameson Williams, if he doesn't get picked by a top 12 team, that's when he could go in a free fall and be like, all right, now you're looking at early second round. You know what I mean?
I think what's interesting about Jameson Williams specifically is coaches might fall in love with his toughness too, which might sound weird because he didn't even play at Ohio State, but he goes to Alabama, and not only is he the most dynamic wide receiver, but he also was thrown out of a game for targeting, and he also played special teams for them too, like as a gunner. So he seemed, and he hit some guys pretty hard too. He seems to play with a toughness and like a recklessness that coaches love. Maybe that comes with injuries long term. So yeah, that is an interesting one to watch. Jameson Williams, absolutely. I think Chris Olave, there's a really good chance that he actually falls in this draft. Especially if his 40 time is not elite. And so as far as the combine coming up and who could be impacted the most, Garrett Wilson, he might run slower than people think. He actually might drop down my rankings once I see his 40 time. Chris Olave has a lot. I think he could actually bring his value back up if he runs one of the faster speeds for wide receivers. Drake London could plummet if he runs a 4.6. And then other guys like Jahan Dotson, if he is the elite
burner,
speed, Treylon Burks, all those guys, if they put big time 40 times out there, that would change them because they've produced, they've done everything else. Especially even like David Bell, if David Bell can run a 4.3 something out of from a miracle or something like that, that would change everybody's perception of him, which was
skyrocket.
Which was the reason that was and I'll go back to Justin Jefferson. He ran like a 4.38 40 time, and nobody expected it. He was supposed to be a 4.5 guy. He was out there and runs in the 4.3s, and everybody's like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure anymore. But it's like, yeah, he had elite athleticism. You guys just didn't buy it at the time. He had the toughness to go along with it, and turns out he was the best wide receiver in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when you mix their production to their elite type of traits that you'll see it with the 40s, maybe the vertical jump, broad jump, and all those, we can start piecing some things together and who's a pretender and who's a legitimate asset.
The Sky Moore in the top 6 is very interesting to me. I feel like they're ahead of the ballgame because I feel like everybody's kind of fallen in love with the idea of this guy, at least in the state of Michigan, that know a little bit more about him. He seems to be like the one that could go to this combine and just off the chart speed and be just like I think he could be one that other outlets are starting to pay attention to. The Mel Kipers of the world that don't really pay attention and just all of a sudden pay attention after the combine. Like he'll be the darling of the combine. You know what I mean? And then you see him in the top 6 of the other quote unquote draft experts. You know what I mean? And then I'm also very interested in Justin Ross from out of Clemson. Obviously without Trevor Lawrence and the terrible quarterback that they had, lost a lot of favor. I think he got injured too, didn't he?
Yeah, he's dealt with
injuries.
So
there's all of that, but he was a big name this time last year that was going back to Clemson and was a huge piece. So I'm interested to see if he can kind of help his stock a little bit more in this draft. I don't know a whole lot about him to say why I like him or why I dislike him, but it'll be interesting to see what happens at the combine to kind of get this thing going.
3 more names. Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky. He's a really good athlete. He almost looks like a running back. Romeo Dubs, I believe he's out of Nevada, right? He played a lot over there with
Oh yeah, looks like I removed that
with
one.
Carson Strong. I think he was his main wide receiver for Carson Strong. I don't know. He could rise up, I guess, if he shows elite athleticism. And then Christian Watson, I think he could absolutely become the darling of the draft or the combine if he runs in the 4.3s.
Cool. So I'm gonna strike out the music here, if that's cool with you guys.
Let's do it.
And what that means is, John, you can see that I have the hat on the desk with the names. So I put questions in a hat. You see them there on the sheet there? The questions. So they're in a hat. So what I want you to do is pull a question out of the hat when you can.
So confused.
And then we'll just answer them and have some fun talking about all these questions, okay?
I can pull a name out of a hat.
Yes, pull it right out. Pull the first one out.
Question number 1. With the rumors swirling that Washington, Green Bay, and Detroit are the 3 finalists to host the 2024 NFL Draft, would you rather Detroit get the draft or host the Super Bowl?
I would rather a draft because I feel like I would have a better chance of going to that. Or, like, you know what I mean? And I think it would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd
in
be
the middle
experience.
of the summer, too, or I guess in April. Sorry. Not summer.
I know everything's more expensive in California, but I couldn't afford to go to the Super Bowl this year. So
I could not afford to go to any
no
Super Bowl,
chance.
I assume.
I would love to go to the draft, though. That'd be fun.
I mean, we might get a media pass since we're such a growing podcast here in the state of Michigan.
The draft would be awesome, especially if Detroit's continuing to rebuild and they got a decent pick. You know,
Yeah.
that would just be hype to go down there.
I feel like if there's a draft, if they got a draft, I think I would really try to go.
we should try to get media passes. That would be absolutely what we need.
Oh, Larkin just scored, tied up. Nice. But no, I that's what I would do. I don't know. I would prefer the draft.
Yeah, just because we know the Super Bowl won't happen too.
Yeah. Micah, what would you prefer?
Yeah, draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd go.
Question 2.
What if Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay were playing in the Super Bowl in Detroit? Would you go, Micah?
I wouldn't be able to afford it.
Oh. So we're all on that same page.
Yeah.
For now.
All right.
XRP
Buffalo
to
Bills are looking to build a new stadium. If it were your choice, would you make it a dome to fit Josh Allen's game? And another question on that one that I pulled out of the hat. Do you wish the Lions were, or Ford Field were, an outdoor stadium?
The Lions.
Who writes these
Yeah.
questions?
Do I wish the Lions were a stadium or oh, got it.
Okay, but first, the dome. Yes or no for Josh Allen?
If I were at Buffalo, I would 100%
Retractable roof.
do a retractable roof.
I think every football stadium should be that way at this point.
But at the same
I
time,
hate saying this.
why wouldn't you just do a dome? Because if there's bad weather, you're going to close the roof. And if there's
So
bad,
that you could open it if there's good weather.
but there's, yes. But what's the benefit of that?
good weather.
The benefit is Bill's Mafia can keep jumping on tables and stuff out in the cold and then just stand in the cold.
What would you
Sober
do?
up.
Would you?
Oh, I'd leave it a dome. Come on, it's
Yeah.
historic to play up in Buffalo. Yeah,
Oh, you'd leave it open air.
I'd keep it open. Yeah. If they got to travel, I mean, they're going to be playing in Kansas City probably next year for the AFC Championship game. So why not open it up like it is down there? Get cold. That's
Yeah.
good playoff football. That's a place nobody wants to go to, just like New England.
I would cater to my quarterback though, personally.
He ain't gonna be your quarterback forever.
Yeah, you build a new one then, and then you get the quarterback that you want to have like this again, right?
Yeah.
And for the Lions, what was the Lions question? It was like, do we wish the Ford Field was outdoors or something?
Yeah,
No.
I love Ford Field.
I love Ford Field, and I love that it's indoors and it's comfortable.
It's rowdy.
And,
Heard a lot of
and
crap about Ford Field recently.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, I
said-
didn't realize, just from different shows.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Ford Field's awesome.
Well, get rid of the touchdown singer. That's awkward. Everything else is fine.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but it doesn't bother me either because there's grown men singing fight songs at all these football games anyways. So
Yeah, that's what I have a problem with.
and other teams though are doing it.
Yeah,
too,
no,
so.
I don't like that either.
It's stupid.
There you go.
You have any more questions in that hat?
Yeah, let me mix these up.
Yeah, mix it up a little bit.
Sean McVay turned down a $100 million Amazon offer to be a game analyst for Thursday Night Football this fall to continue coaching. Do you respect his loyalty to run it back, or do you think he's an idiot?
Both.
I think he's an idiot.
I mean, good for him. He wants to win another Super Bowl, but man, $100 million.
Yeah, I don't know what the buyout is on that, but John Gruden did pretty good at signing a $100 million contract. He didn't have to stay too long.
Yeah, and he still got his money, I'm sure.
He
If
can
he
probably-
didn't, he will.
Yeah,
How many years? 100 million for how many years?
I don't
Was it
know.
5?
I think 5. Yeah, it sounds right.
Oh my!
Yeah, he could have went back to coaching if he missed it that much.
Okay, yeah, he's an idiot.
Just go get it, right?
Yeah.
What is he, 33, 34 years old? He'd be back coaching by 48. He'd still be the second youngest coach in the league, probably.
Or just don't coach after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just retire. Just call it a day. Just stay an analyst. It's
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can afford to go to any Super Bowl with that money.
Right.
Who cares if
He's
you're on
an
the sideline?
He doesn't care if it's in Detroit or anything. He'll go anyways.
Yeah,
Just buys
that's
it.
nuts. That's crazy.
That's a
Urban
lot
Meyer
of
was
a
going.
lot of money.
I think we're in the wrong profession.
I think
Well,
we're trying to get into that profession.
Yeah,
Analysts.
we're all talking into a mic.
No, we need to be coaches, guys.
Coaches?
Because then you become.
I
want
to be a coach. I love coaching
He
all
is
the
a
time.
coach.
I want to be a more than T-ball coach.
I'm doing t-ball this
We
year.
all start somewhere.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're gonna coach Quinn's team?
Well, assistant. I'm not
Oh.
gonna run the team. No, I don't want to do that.
Speaking of other guys that didn't coach, Troy Aikman agreed to a new deal for 5 years and an annual salary expected to approach or exceed the neighborhood of Tony Romo's $17.5 million per season contract with CBS. So he's with Monday Night Football, right?
He's with Monday Night Football.
ESPN.
Yeah.
And Tony Romo's still going to be with CBS.
CBS. But yeah, ESPN's gonna pay Troy Aikman, so they're gonna poach him from Fox and give him probably what 18, 20 million almost a year.
I think they're making mistakes. I don't think these commentators are worth all that money. People are gonna watch those games whether somebody's commenting on it or not.
I agree.
It just blows my mind.
The
Why are
only
they
time-
competing against these guys? They don't need to. They're just the demand is. They're like creating the demand.
I just hate that both guys' claim to fame was playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
You know, this all goes back to Jerry Jones at the end of the day. He's probably getting a cut of that.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
you don't need that dirty
Yeah.
oil money. But anyway, that's got Sam thinking, who is your favorite NFL play-by-play guy, and who is your favorite color commentator? Michael, let's start with you.
I don't got one. Sorry. Move on.
You don't have
Do you
one?
want to be on the podcast still, or you just want to dodge every question like you did the kids earlier today? You're just dodging every question.
No.
Am I the only one that thinks he's dodging questions?
I don't know.
You don't have a favorite play-by-play?
I wasn't
guy?
personally
No, not
offended
really.
by it, but
I was.
I like the Lions team. Who do they have?
Oh yeah. Oh, on the radio.
No, the TV guys.
Well, they switch it every week.
Yeah, they get the rotation.
Yeah, who's the main guy?
Talk about
Let me
It's
know.
usually
questions.
It's
Talking
usually
about guys that signed annual salary
Nope.
contracts
Uh-uh.
of like
I don't want to talk about those
$6,000
guys.
a year.
I like Tony Romo. but
Brenneman. Is it Brenneman? He does a lot of the play-by-play.
I don't know. See, this is why I don't pay attention to the names of commentators.
See, I love Joe Buck as play-by-play.
Oh, I can't stand Joe Buck.
You don't like Joe Buck?
That's
I
also
love
why
Joe
I
Buck.
don't like Troy Aikman. I just don't like that combo, and they both look fake as they can be.
And then for I like Chris Collinsworth
I was
as the
gonna
color
say
commentator.
I do like Chris.
I know he
Collinsworth.
has his quirks that everybody likes to tease and stuff, but I think he does a really good job.
That's got me thinking now.
Hey, I really that's got me thinking.
I do like Al Michaels.
I
and
don't.
I'm going to step out on a color commentator line here, and I'm going to throw Lomas Brown from the radio
Oh,
on
jeez.
that list.
Ooh.
I
He is
think
up there.
Dan Miller on the radio call. See ya.
That's
like,
what
that
I'm
is
talking
the
about,
best.
guys.
I asked if it was radio, and you said no TV.
Well, I thought it was TV.
Dan Miller radio is incredible.
Yeah, he's the
I
best.
love him on the radio. I mean, yeah. But who's your least favorite? All right, so
Al Michaels.
yeah, I don't
Yep.
like Al
What?
Michaels' play-by-play. I think he's like Ryan pointed it out, like that play that
Oh my
when
God.
Stafford threw that bomb to Cooper Kupp, he was like, "Oh, he's got it down there."
Andy, caught the ball. It's like, man, you have been doing this too long.
Reel it in a
Get
little bit,
excited once in your life.
I will say he has one. I have one knock on the guy, and that was during the Super Bowl when Matt Stafford had his foot rolled up on. They show him getting taped up on the sideline. He said, "Oh, he'll really show his true colors to these veterans if he can come back in and play." And it's like, dude, the guy threw touchdown passes without a shoulder in his socket.
Right.
You know, it's like,
So he's a veteran.
yeah, you guys dogged him his entire career in
Yeah.
Detroit and was never a good Super Bowl, or a good
Yeah.
quarterback, Super Bowl potential quarterback, and now here he is.
I also
and-
really like Mike Tirico. I like Tirico. The only time, honestly, I don't care. I mean, as Lions fans, we sit and watch some of the crappiest play-by-play and color guys in the league. Like, we have a Aqib Talib that you can't even
Oh,
understand.
Keith Talib, he's my favorite.
He's so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
I could listen to Tirico with the Olympics,
Yeah.
with golf coverage. Like the
Yeah,
dude
Tirico's
he's
good.
yeah, he covers all bases. That's kind of why I like Al Michaels.
The
too,
only
but-
time I ever turn off a game because of the commentator is that girl on ESPN that does college football.
Oh, she's so
She's
bad.
so bad, and she ruins my day. Like, I'm sitting there watching a game, get done watching the good game from noon to, and then all of a sudden she's on. I'm like, all right, this has got to stop.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Doris Burke.
Yes. Is it? Oh, I don't like her
No,
either.
NBA games.
The NBA.
Come on,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Come on, Doris. None of these players are talking to you after the game. You know, she makes it sound like she's best buds with LeBron. You know, it's like, get out of here.
All right. Do we
Can
have
I
any
say-
more?
Can I
Yeah.
say Gus Johnson or no?
Yeah.
Oh,
He does
yeah.
Lions
Okay.
games.
Well, there it is.
what I was
Perfect.
talking
You didn't
about.
dodge it. We're good. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a question.
Last question. It got stuck to the brim of the hat.
We got one more. Perfect.
One of the two opponents for the international games in 2022 have been announced. Tampa Bay and Munich, Germany. Green Bay and London. Saints and Jags will both play, not each other, but in London. And the Cardinals will head south to Mexico City. Do you like these games, and what city deserves one of these games?
I do not like when my team plays in these games, but I love waking up and knowing that there's a game on at like 9:30 in the morning. I love that.
I
I don't
love
get
it.
to watch it, but I love knowing it, so
I
I can
love-
follow it on my phone or bet on it or something.
I just forget about it when it comes to fantasy football.
Oh,
And
that
it's like, oh shoot, I didn't set my lineup, and so and so's playing, and I already had 8 pancakes and a half a pound of bacon.
right. I mean, I like getting on my phone, sitting in the church pew, and going on my betting app and trying to bet on a game.
Kidding me.
Amen.
Did that hit the post?
Yeah, it was inside post.
What's the score of this game? I can never see the score.
3-3 overtime. I know. I don't know why that's like that. I don't know where the remote is. It's my bad. But what city deserves it?
I think Munich would be really, really cool in Germany. That would be
What's
a fun
going to
one.
happen though?
What? Yeah, no.
Oh.
I'm saying that. I think that'll be really cool.
Gotcha. Yeah, sure.
Or are we supposed to pick a different city to host?
I was
the
thinking
NFL
like a
game?
city that doesn't have it
Dodging
yet.
questions.
For me, I think Toronto would be a fun one to have a game.
They're not on this list.
No, they're not on this, but I'm saying they deserved a chance.
I did not understand the question. I'm sorry.
I didn't either. I just read it out of the hat.
That didn't work.
Nope. Not quite.
All right, I tried.
I don't know. Hold on. Let me think of all the cities in the world.
Dubai.
Dubai deserves it. Actually, that would be. I could see that happening
From the Red Wings to Michigan State, we're talking about it. This is State of My Sports.
Ryan, can you explain Betting Hero to people?
Man, you always do this to me.
I know.
I sure can. Betting Hero is a sports betting website that will lay out every single promo code available for you for each of the major available sports betting platforms legal in your state. So they will break it down for you. If you use DraftKings, if you use Name another one. Anybody?
FanDuel.
FanDuel. And they have individual or unique promo codes available. They will continuously update those for you, lay them out in a list format. And if you go to bettinghero.com, use promo code MIBETS. That's the best way to also support this podcast. So once again, bettinghero.com, promo code MIBETS. They will lay out every single promo code available, and you can win as much free money as you wish.
Dang it, I tried to turn that back on and it didn't work. John, can you grab me the remote?
It's post-game.
No, it should be still going.
Yeah, but you went to post-game. That's the problem. You need to go to the live game. So
did I?
now you don't have that availability, and you'll never get there unless
All
you
right.
go to live.
Gotcha. So last week, my Wednesday parlay missed again.
Wait, hold on. Before we get into that,
Yeah.
did you bet on the Michigan State basketball game tonight?
Oh, it was part of a parlay, yeah.
Who did you have winning?
I had Michigan State winning. What's the score?
The score right now, as of 2 minutes ago, Michigan is winning 64-49
Whoa!
with 9 minutes left.
So the desperate team is desperate and showed up.
Without Juwan Howard? Oh, no way.
Without Juwan Howard.
Their coach that actually can't coach? Maybe? They just give him 2 penalties? What's going on? Uh-oh. Sorry, they had a delayed penalty. And then Suter, oh, I get it. All right, they thought, all right, we're good.
Ooh, Bertuzzi's
Look.
living.
Cool. Good
Too
radio.
many men on the ice. Sorry.
What are we talking
Dead
about
zone
here?
right there.
Good.
So they got a too many men on the ice penalty. The Red Wings thought they still had the puck. That's why they're mad that they
So-
blew the whistle.
What? Wings tied 3-3, minute 40 left in overtime.
About to go on a 4-on-3 power play. So love that. Wednesday parlay last week, I had the Avs against the Red Wings -1. I won that. Over in the Tampa Bay Edmonton game, I won that. The third one was the Kings -1.5 against the Coyotes. The Kings only won by 1, so I missed it by 1. And it was a plus 657 bet. Like that's a pretty darn good odds. So if you're paying attention, if you pay attention to your bets and you were on board with the parlay, you see that you win the first two. You hedge your bet before that other game starts because it was the late Coyotes Kings game. So you can kind of use that. I think I got it at like -180, but you can find a way to break even or even find a way to win at least a little bit. That's what you do. So right now, my Wednesday parlay is 0 for 2, but I got a good one here this week, and I'm feeling good about it. So I'm going to start with the Leafs -1.5 against the Sabres. They seem to be scoring at will, and the Sabres are playing some of the worst hockey in worst hockey in the NHL. So I'll give myself that win. I'm going to take the over in the Kraken Predators game. The Kraken seems to hit overs all the time because they are very bad and allow a lot of goals and can kind of score some goals too. So it's kind of a good over to hit. And then I'm going to take the 76ers to win over the Knicks. The 76ers are playing some really good basketball since they made the trade and things are clicking and they're not going to slow down anytime soon.
It's a good bet.
Thanks, man.
You bet.
You bet or I bet? That was my bet.
That was your bet.
You bet? My bet?
He bet.
Are you going to bet my bet?
We're all set.
We're all set. Let's see. So let's get into our beer grades for today. Remind everybody what we're drinking tonight, Micah.
Drinking from Waypost Brewing. I like how you did that. Blueberry sumac sour. Oh boy, hard to see right now. 4.7%. This is a good sour. I liked what I drank. It's easy to drink. Obviously, light on the alcohol content, so you're not going to get all tipsy or too tipsy unless you drink a lot. But tonight, this is good. This is a good beer. I really like it. I'm going to give this one an 8.2.
That's a really good grade. You know what? I think I might go with the same grade, 8.2. The description is bright, fruity, and pleasantly
There
tart.
it is.
Boom. Let's
Raymond.
go.
And I think it matches that. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm talking about beer. So
Raymond just scored.
Raymond did?
Yep.
Game winner?
Game winner.
And
Cider get an assist there?
I think
was
he
the
did. I think he was the
second.
original shot. Yeah.
So another couple points for those guys on top of Zagreus.
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
Suck it, Zegras.
Suck it.
Your flashy goals that nobody cares about.
39 shots on goal. Not bad, right?
That was a good game. The Red Wings played pretty well. They survived the beginning. Carolina looked like the way better team early on, and the Red Wings just really took control.
So
like it.
Does this help with the Blashill keeping his job thing?
Yeah, it's a good response. It definitely is a good response from what we saw against Toronto. But I mean, you got some work to do. You got to do it again. You can't lose a lot of these games in these teams. These are the good teams, but show up. That's the biggest thing.
You keep getting interrupted, and it's your turn.
8.2. I already said it. Sam, you're up.
Oh, I am. All right. I think it's better than 8.2. I love how easy to drink it is, and I really like the tart to it. I really do. I'm going to go with an 8.4.
The tart probably comes from the sumac.
Sumac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sumac.
The cashew family.
I'm not a huge fan of the sours. I do like how they're refreshing. It's a nice change of pace every now and then. But I do like this one. I don't know. It's up there. 7, 8.
7, 8?
7, 8, yeah.
Not a bad score. So what's our average there? About 8.2, right? Maybe 8.1.5.
Yeah, it's not 8.2.
It's probably 82.125. Like an extra 8 in there.
That might be spot on.
No, it's 8.1 something.
8, isn't that what he said? 8.
Oh, I thought he said 8.2 something.
8.125.
Should we figure it out off air, or do you guys want to all listen to us try to figure out our average?
Simple math.
Right?
Let's end the podcast, and then we can listen back and figure out the math.
I'm down.
All right.
That was episode 146. Thank you guys for recording. Thank you all for listening and watching live. Really appreciate it. We will talk to you next week.
Peace.
If not sooner.
You've been listening to State of My Sports. From the Red Wings to the Lions, to the Tigers, to the Pistons, to Michigan and Michigan State, and everything in between, we're talking about it. And don't forget the beer. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. In the meantime, hook up with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at State of My Sports with an MI. We'll see you next time.